Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today, it is September 24th, 2024. That's 4.5 years plus of Torah every single day, of finding friends from all over the world, of preparing for Torah and for your day together. It's broadcast 1144. Thank you, Penny. And it is day 354 since October 7th. All of that is true. It is so powerful to have come together for 1,144 times, to learn Torah every single weekday morning for 4.5 years, knowing that the more of us are together, the more Torah there is in the world. And frankly, given that so many of our moments have been hard ones, what a gift it is to find each other over and over, knowing that we will be there for each other. Let's see who's here. David and Alyssa, Hannah, welcome. Alan, my friend, good to see you. Ben, welcome. Deborah and Joyce, Helen and Deborah. Lydia, good morning. Okay, I have to make a fix there. Good morning, Judy and Linda, Jacqueline and Richard, Iris and Debbie, Arlene and Rose, Siona, Boker Tov, hi Michelle. Good to see you. Jonathan and Natalie, Julianne and Dave. Hope everyone is doing well. Deborah, it's rainy where you are. Well, that's not such a bad thing. I hope everyone stays safe and warm and all the same. Rain's not so bad. Diane and Anya, good morning. Good morning, friends. Hi, Minna. All right, let's take a breath. We're going to sing a blessing, learn some Torah. Here we go. Hi, Kim. Hi, Cassandra. Hi, Blair. Boker Tov. This is Sina. Hi, Sandy. All right, everybody, it's good to see you. Let's begin with a little bit of intention setting. For 354 days, we have made sure that we pray for our hostages that they should be brought home. We have made sure to be present with our people all over the world, our college students, our adults, everybody. And that's no easy task. We have made great effort to be mindful. Well, I don't know that we've emphasized enough something that is so pressing, especially this week. The community that in Israel that lives in the north has not lived in the north for 354 days. There was an evacuation of more than 80,000 people from their homes in the north, and they have been living this entire time as internally displaced refugees with the heating up of the battle with Hezbollah. That again is being misreported in much the same way that Hamas was somehow normalized, not just in protests, but also in news reports. So too is Hezbollah. There are important historical dimensions of this that are largely being overlooked, including that one of the targeted strikes on Hezbollah killed the architect of a bombing of an American bunker in Beirut many years ago that killed 63 Americans. It's not that anyone should relish in the destructive capacity of a nation, but this is about justice and protection, and it is a clear mandate of Israel to return its residents to their homes. And so, what I want to do right now is just take a moment and emphasize that. Make sure that our hearts, while we are going to learn Torah in 2 seconds, remain connected with our people, that we do not forget the hostages as we fight for the rights of our sisters and brothers in the north of Israel, and as we fight on all these fronts, we do not forget to take care of ourselves. All of this, friends, all of this is incredibly complicated. But we are complicated too. We are complex enough and nuanced enough and multidimensional enough to think straight and to do our work. And that's one of the reasons that we learn Torah. It's not only so that we can be strong in defense of our people. Learning Torah is just joyful. But our people is in need of defense and of unity, and it is upon us to be part of that great reweaving of Am Yisrael. And no better teacher or model for this ever existed than Moshe Rabbeinu. So what I want to do is look at one very famous verse from this week's double parsha. It's Nitzavim Vayelech. It's towards the end of the book of Deuteronomy, which is the end of the Torah itself. And to give Moshe proper credit, as we always should, for being the mentor that we needed as a people, and we still do. Because after all, one of the messages that Moshe reinforces on this day, the last day of his life, according to most commentators, he reinforces that we don't need him. And he's wrong, we need him. We always need him. We need the wisdom of his modeled life. We need the wisdom that he spoke. We need the wisdom that he embodied. We need the humility, servant leader model. We need his fire. Now, what he says here, after pouring out his heart for weeks and weeks, knowing that the end of his days was coming, he says, this is chapter 30, verse 11, surely this instruction, this mitzvah that I enjoin you this day, is not too baffling, not for you, nor is it beyond your reach. Now here comes the famous verse, Lo b'shamayim hi. It's not in the heavens that you should say, who among us can go up to the heavens and get it for us and impart it to us, that we may observe it? Neither is it beyond the sea, that you should say, who among us can cross the sea to the other side and get it for us and impart it to us, that we may observe it? No. Ki karov elecha hadavar me'od beficha uvilvavcha la'asoto. No, the thing, meaning Torah, is very close to you, in your mouth and in your heart, to observe it. And there is so much teaching around this verse. There are famous sections of later texts that come back to this verse. The phrase Lo b'shamayim hi. It's not in heaven. Because what do you do when you're having a human disagreement, a fight, as Jews always do and rabbis always have, in trying to adjudicate what is the right thing to do in this moment? When you have an unprecedented question, how do you respond? Well, you should respond with your words. You should respond with logic. There are rules to the game, as have been established by Torah and earlier generations. Well, there is a famous story in the Talmud, in Bava Metzia. Many of us, if we've learned Talmud just a little bit, have learned that story. I learned it countless times before even I began rabbinical school, because it was the story to tell. There's a battle between the rabbis about whether or not a new kind of oven is kosher. And when I say battle, it was a knockdown battle. Rabbi Eliezer was arguing that the oven was kosher, and the other rabbis were arguing that it was not. Now, Rabbi Eliezer was very wise, and he brought in proofs and arguments and logic, but no matter what he did, they wouldn't listen. He finally began to resort beyond human tactics, and he tapped into the supernatural. Now, if you don't think it's in the Talmud, look it up, Bava Metzia. It's in a section called the Tanur of Achnai, the oven of Achnai. Trust me, it's a good read. Not a simple one, but a good one. And he says, if the law is like me, this tree will prove it. And he looks out the window, and the carob tree outside of the window of the study hall where they were all assembled, got up and moved. And some say it moved 300 cubits, and some say it moved 400 cubits. I've always loved that that's the argument. They don't argue whether or not the tree moved. They argue whether or not it moved 300 or 400 cubits. Let's keep going. The rabbis say, no, we do not receive proof from a tree. So he says, fine, not a tree? See that stream of water that's flowing down? If the law is like me, if I'm right, then that stream will flow upside down. And the stream did flow upside down, which if we saw it, we would be in shock. The laws of nature, of gravity, are reversed. He must have an argument, but the rabbis say, no, we also do not derive law from a stream of water. He began to lose his patience, and think about how dangerous this next one was. If the law is like me, Rabbi Eliezer said, then the walls of this Beit Midrash will prove it. And they buckled as if to fall. And everyone was inside of that room. He was willing to be right at the expense of everyone else's lives. His truth was more important than their lives. I know people who fight like that. I think you might also. But Rabbi Joshua gets up and yells at the walls. It's an entertaining moment in a very tense situation. And says, this is not your business. He go tell it to the wall. This is not your business. Rabbis are arguing. Go back. But the walls did not go all the way back in honor of Rabbi Eliezer, who called them to fall. And they didn't fall down out of respect for Rabbi Joshua, who told them to stop. And they stand like this, sort of the structure of a house. But Rabbi Eliezer has had it. And this is where the story becomes very intense. It taps into our verse, and it's important for us to remember the scar of this story. Because Rabbi Eliezer then says, if the law is like me, heavens will say so. And a bat kol comes, a divine voice comes, and says, why are you arguing with Rabbi Eliezer? He's always right. Now remember, it's Rabbi Eliezer against everybody, and he has lost the argument. He made a tree move, it didn't work. He made a stream flow upside down, it didn't work. He almost made the Beit Midrash, the room itself, collapse. That didn't work. And even God says, he's right. Rabbi Joshua got up. This is what the Talmud says. It's an electric moment of rabbinic creative storytelling, the development of law, and what it is to stand for life. I'll get to that in a moment. Rabbi Joshua gets up and yells back at heaven, quoting our Parsha, the verse we just read, and says, Lo b'shamayim hi. It's not in heaven. The Talmud says, what did he mean when he said Lo b'shamayim hi, quoting here? He said, the Torah already says follow the majority rule, and we already made a vote, and Rabbi Eliezer lost. Lo b'shamayim hi. We follow the majority decision, which means in the realm of human conversation, which is so much of the work that you and I have to do, we can argue, maybe because we feel something fiercely, but we can never argue to the point that, God forbid, we would hurt each other, or God forbid, kill each other in the name of our truths. My truth is not more important than your life. There has to be a way of coming together, even around and surrounding and amidst so much that we disagree about. Rabbi Joshua, who yelled back at heaven, quotes the verse from our Parsha and says, Lo b'shamayim hi. Why did he say that? Is that what Moses intended? Moses said, if you remember closely, surely these mitzvot, these rules, are within reach for you. Don't say, who will climb up that mountain and get it for you? Who will cross that ocean and get it for you? No, it's close to you, which means if you want to know what to do, it's right here, it's accessible, it's within the human realm. We have the capacity to make big decisions, to disagree like human beings, and not to think that heaven is charging forward to fight with me. No, some of these fights are actually just ours to have, and there are answers that are possible. A war is a very complicated version of a fight. But I want to point out that the big difference, and there are many, between a group of terrorists, and an imperfect nation trying to defend itself is that the terrorists say, I'm willing for all of us to die in order to hurt you. That is certainly the tactic of Hamas. It has been the tactic of Hezbollah for a very long time. And I'm not saying that war is easy or that God likes fighting. But it is important for us to understand that when we fight in the name of God, disregarding the human dignity of others, we are erasing images of God. That is what terrorism does. It dehumanizes the other to the point that destroying them and yourself feels divine. That's idol worship of a different kind. Only when every human being sees every human being as embodying the image of God. Only when, in America, we are able to stop dehumanizing the other and come together not thinking we're going to agree, but as civil society, talking again, which I actually think is more in reach than most people believe. I think we've been told so many times that we don't know how to disagree, that we begin to believe it. We're being gaslit in that way. No, I have dear friends who I disagree with passionately about hot topic issues. I don't want to get into them because whatever the issue is, that's not the point of what I'm saying right now. And within every human group, including, as Valerie's pointing out, the UN, there has to be a place of seeing the humanity of the other. At the moment, the Jewish community all over the world, especially in the state of Israel, is not being seen as fully human. And groups that are clear in their terror aims are being seen as pursuing a human value. We are called, friends, to remember that the teaching of Moses, that it is right here, accessible, that adjudicating decisions, not agreeing, but adjudicating decisions, is a human capacity and therefore a human responsibility. We are called on this day, just as Rabbi Joshua did, to actually say to the heavens, hey, this is not your fight. I'm going to bless the garbage truck that just drove by, as I've done a few times over these 4.5 years. Thank God for those human beings, images of God, who are helping keep our community clean. Very grateful for their work. Bless them with me. So I know that we're talking about deep geopolitical things, and I just pointed to two civil servants, but isn't it the same thing? Isn't it the same thing, friends? To see human beings as human, to treat them as such. Imagine what Gaza would look like if terrorists hadn't literally undermined all of society. Imagine in Lebanon what Lebanon would look like if Hezbollah had not infected even people's attics, putting long-range missiles in their homes, in Gaza, in their schools, in their mosques, in hospitals. It is a tactic that is very clear, which treats whoever lives in that home like an object that is fine to sacrifice in the name of whatever truth you think is righteous. No, we can't treat each other like that. And when someone treats us like that, we have to continue calling it out. So I hope that you'll join me, friends. First of all, in doubling down on Torah. Because these values, especially in Parshat Nitzavim and Parshat Vayelech, the two Torah portions we read this week, the Torah gives us a chance at getting it right. Moses says, my biggest goal is for you to be able to do this without me. You don't need someone to climb a mountain. Who climbed the mountain? Moses did. You don't need someone who crossed the sea. Who split the sea? Moses did. Now, of course, God did. But Moses was the one that we saw the entire time. So let us remember, friends. Let us remember what it is to be part of a human community who can actually solve our problems. Do not give up hope. not on our homeland, not on our people, not on the United States. It's not far away, and we don't need a miracle worker. We just need people to be human again. And we can start with us. So every day leading to Rosh Hashanah, if I have the strength, which thank God, after COVID again, I think I've got some strength back, let's sing. Let's add some music into our days. I sang this song without a guitar yesterday from my car. It's called Hayom. It's one of the closing Piyutim poems of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And we say Hayom Ta'amseinu. Today give us courage, Amen. Today bless us, Amen. Today may we remember to be our full size. Let's stay human. This melody is by Craig Taubman. Hayom Ta'amseinu Hayom Tevarchenu Hayom Tegadleinu Amen Hayom Ta'amseinu Hayom Tevarchenu Hayom Tegadleinu Amen Hayom Ha-na-na-na Hayom Ha-na-na-na Hayom Hayom Amen. What do you pray for today? For Hayom. Hayom. Oh, Hayom. Oh, Hayom. Oh, Amen. Friends, with me. Hayom. Bring them home. Hayom. Hayom. Kol hod balevav v'nima nefesh Yehudi homiya ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia Od lo avda tikvateinu Hatikva bat shnot alpayim Liot am chofshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim Liot am chofshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, friends.